Tim Biaka Batuka, Liz. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the November 25th, 2023 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at Temple City Auto Repair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. What a weird beginning here. Some of the buttons weren't clicking, but we got here. Special Saturday edition where I don't expect too many people to see me live because I usually go on live on Friday. So if anyone sees this show, I'm going to be eternally grateful. But yeah, you know, between those games, weren't those the worst NFL games to watch? I mean, they were just bad. And so I was kind of tired, kind of worn out after Thanksgiving. And then there was nothing really, you know, to add to the show because those games were awful. I thought, well, let's talk about Michigan, Ohio State. Let's watch that game. And so we just did. We watched the Wolverines beat Ohio State. I'm thrilled beyond all measure. Last I heard, Brian Day in his press conference is blaming Lou Holtz. And the Wolverines won it for Coach Jim. They won it for Harbaugh, so we're thrilled. Blake Corum, J.J. McCarthy, that really was the difference. I don't think the McCord kid from Ohio State played horrible, but you're playing in the big house. You're playing against a really good Michigan team. And J.J. McCarthy's a guy that's now he's been in the big games, right? He's won in the shoe. So, yeah, I thought he was the difference today, let alone the offensive line recovering from the injury and then their defense just stepping up. The one thing I did think at the end there, and we're going to blitz through this real fast, at the end there when Moore got the interception, did anyone else think that Marvin Harrison should have gone after that ball a little bit harder? He didn't really look like he was going after that ball enough. Almost he was alligating it a little bit. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to bag on the kid.
Stay in your lane, bro.
I am staying in my lane, but I don't know. I just didn't like. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'll take correction. But a big win for Michigan. That means Ohio State likely won't be in the playoff, and I despise Ohio State. So, you know, one of my favorite Ohio State-Michigan games was the day Tim Biaka Batuka ran for 300 yards in a great win. I think that was back in 95. But happy for Michigan, happy for Coach Harbaugh, happy for that whole process because every time Michigan wins, the NCAA loses. And that's the best of everything, right? That's like a great Christmas present. So happy birthday to Michigan, or a great win to Michigan, and happy birth in the postseason. Looking at this right here, looking at the NFL games, we're going to blitz through. Dolphins beat the Jets 34-13, and now you know why Robert Saleh was going with Zach Wilson over Tim Boyle. You know, that pick six Hail Mary at the end of the first half gave Jet fans an opportunity to laugh or cry, right? I mean, it was so bad, all you can do was laugh. It was terrible. You know, I never walk out on my team, even when they're losing. I was at the NFC Championship game in 75, stayed till Capoletti scored. It was 37-0, and Capoletti scored. And I won't turn off a bad Rams game. But after a while, you start to laugh. And after a while, you kind of say, you know what, just beat them into the ground until you realize, you know, that, you know, changes have to be made. I think Saleh's done a fair job, but this idea that everyone was screaming for Tim Boyle, no, Zach Wilson wasn't the answer either. They should have probably gone out and got a quarterback. I think they were expecting maybe Wilson could go up a notch, and he hasn't. So really a bummer year for the Jets, right? Bummer year. Hopefully they get a good draft pick and then they can develop. Cowboys, TaxSkins, that was boring, 45-10. We called that one. Dolphins, we were right about. Dolphins, Jets, we were right about. Cowboys, TaxSkins, we were right about, 45 points. The only thing I was burned about is I'm going to lose one of my fantasy league games because that TaxSkins defense made Dak Prescott look like he was Johnny Unitas, and his points are somewhere like 48 points, 50 points, and it's going to cost my fantasy league team a win. Congrats to Deron Bland for his 5th interception return for a touchdown. Pretty good. So congrats to him. It was the most animated I've ever heard Jim Nantz on a call. So good for the Cowboys. They're going to the playoffs. Nothing's going to stop that now. Seahawks 49ers, that was a good one, right? 49ers did what they needed to do. We needed the Seahawks to lose because the chances are very long that we're going to catch the 49ers. If you want to think about the difference between the 49ers and Rams right now is it's probably 3 touchdowns because the Seahawks really, their offense didn't score. It was their defense that got the tip pass and scored on. And so the 49ers put 31 on them. It's what we expected. It's very nice. And when you're looking at the Seahawks, there's only 1 year left on Geno's contract. So the Hawks probably need a quarterback and more help on the offensive line, or this window is going to close and they're going to miss an opportunity. The secondary is young. They got to see what they got at those tackles because Cross was hurt this year. Abraham Lucas is still out. They got Jason Peters. He's older than Moses playing right tackle. You're not going to win. And so we'll see. Brock Purdy on the other flip side. Brock Purdy made some throws that were just amazing. The one to Brandon Ayuk between 4 defenders for a TD. That was just, wow, my jaw dropped on that one. The 49ers lost backup safety George Odom to torn biceps against the Seahawks. Now, he was a special teamer. He's a depth piece on defense. But his loss, along with Talanoa Hufanga, leaves Frisco a bit thin on the back porch. Again, things to keep an eye on for the 49ers going forward. Hey, Bill, thank you for clicking on. Who's the bigger threat to the Rams playoffs, Packers or Vikings? I'll answer that right now. If you notice in the box, I kind of posted the playoff picture. The Vikings schedule is not bad. They get the Bears, the Raiders, and a wounded Bengals team. And so they're already got 6 wins. The Green Bay, and that's exactly where I was going right now. The Green Bay win in Detroit just killed me because that made them 5-6. And then they've got the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Rams, right? And Jordan Love just carved up that Jordan Love. Did you hear what I said? Jordan Love carved up that Detroit defense. So what is a better quarterback in Dak Prescott going to do? What's a better quarterback like Brock Purdy going to do? And what are some of those AFC quarterbacks going to do to it if they should ever get that far? But as I was watching it, this was bad news. That gives Green Bay 5 wins and a modest schedule. Green Bay's got the Chiefs, but after the Chiefs, they get the Giants and they got the Bucs, and they could easily be 7-7. And again, they got the head-to-head against the Rams. That game in Green Bay is going to come back and bite the Rams in the butt big time. And that's a game where you got to go back and say, did the Rams lose that game in Green Bay? Did they lose it that weekend in week 9? Or did they lose that back in August when they refused to acknowledge what they needed was a viable backup quarterback? A viable backup quarterback probably produces a win in Green Bay. And that one was torture. That one was torture on Thanksgiving. And that put the Rams in a really, really bad spot. I posted it in the box there, the playoff picture for the NFC. I'm not sure. I haven't done that before, but I thought it might work for you guys if we're talking and everything. You got Minnesota in the 6th spot. They're 6-5. They get the Bears, Raiders, and Bengals. They could be 9-5 before this whole thing is over, right? At worst, 8-6 in the next 3 weeks. Seattle gets Dallas, Frisco, and Philly. They're toast. They're 6-8. They're banged up. Geno's come crashing back to earth. Also, they don't have Kenneth Walker, We talked about what Green Bay gets. The Rams, they're going to get the Cardinals. Rams got to beat the Cardinals. So they go 5-6, but then they get the Ravens and the Browns, and they need to get a win there. They get the TaxSkins, they get the Saints, and they get the Giants after that. But then you finish up in Levi. And that Packer win makes the Rams road a little bit harder. And I'm not counting them out. The Browns game is at home. The Raven game, of course, is in Baltimore. Falcons, Saints, Jets, Bucs, Panthers. But the Falcons aren't very good. Tampa Bay, TaxSkins, you see that right there. Around the NFL and other places, Jonathan Smith leaves Oregon State for Michigan State. I realize there's only so much you can accomplish in Corvallis, and to become the head coach in Corvallis really means you're going to become the head coach someplace else, or you're going to get fired and sell insurance. Jonathan Smith's done a great job. Local kid from Glendora. I know his brother, and good for him, right? Good for him getting the big payday at Michigan State. But Smith is better than the perpetual tire fire at Lansing. And I wish he could have landed someplace else, because I think the things in Lansing are so out of control that he'll be held accountable for all the garbage that goes on there. And I wish him the best. I really do. He's done a heck of a job at Corvallis. I'm sorry, believe it or not, for Oregon State. I really am. But hey, it makes sense. It makes sense for him. He's earned it. And hopefully, he does very, very, very well. That eastern portion of the Big 12 or the Big 10 is brutal, and it's going to be tough to break through. And that got me thinking about something else. Someone asked me a question, and I've been avoiding draft talk. I don't want to talk about the draft until the season's officially over for the Rams, but everyone's talking about the Rams' needs. They need a quarterback, they'll need a tackle, they'll need an edge. But given Kupp's age and what we're seeing right now, and the wear on Kupp's tires, wouldn't you look at a wide receiver? I was watching Marvin Harrison today, and he'll likely be off the board when the Rams draft. And hopefully the Rams are drafting mid-teens. I know people are thinking, oh, no, let's crash and burn and draft in the top 5. I got a culture statement I want to make about that, but I'm not going to make it today. I'll make it on Monday. You want a winning culture, right? And it likens, I think back when I grew up as a Ram fan, 73 through 1989, the Rams only missed the playoffs 3 times. 2 of those were strike years, 82 and 87. And then the other one was a year in 81 when they let Vince Ferragamo go to Canada. And so there was a culture here for the Rams. The Rams always won, right? They always won, and they weren't winning Super Bowls, but it's a culture. It's something to be expected, and you want that. You want a culture. They never established a culture in St. Louis, and I'll break that down on Monday. But so I want the Rams. I don't care if they're drafting 14th or 15th or something like that. But by that time, Marvin Harrison will be gone. Would you ever consider drafting another receiver in the first round? I know our needs. If I'm drafting top 5, I'm taking a quarterback. Top 6, I'm taking a quarterback. But you need a tackle. They may need another edge rusher. But hey, how about a receiver like Rome Odunze out of Washington? Especially when you think that Cooper Kupp's going to be 31 next year, and he's already showing a lot of wear and tear. Something to think about. TaxSkins put DC Jack Del Rio in the street and likely out of his misery. But again, if you're thinking about let's just get the best draft pick possible, maybe the TaxSkins should have kept him and everything. But that room is out of control. Hey, before we get to the break here, hey, somebody else joined me. Dan-O. We lost it in August. The Green Bay game will come back down. Thank you, Dan-O. Thank you for agreeing with me on that. Wow, that's I appreciate that. And such. But I still have hope too. That Seahawk lane is there. The Rams just have to start piling up some victories and hope somebody else takes a tumble. But yeah, before we get to commercial, I'm watching the Michigan game, and this reminded me of something I saw a couple weeks ago. How do you feel when a network says they're not going to show you the injury? Like it's too gruesome. We're not going to show it to you. I don't like it personally. It's like they're telling me I can't handle something, right? If they're covering the game, they're reporting the game, right? And their obligation is to share with you what's going on. I know I felt that when I worked sidelines, even the press box. Hey, you got to know what's going on. And you know what? Some of the places that I covered were real bush league in the sense that you'd see an injury on the field and they wouldn't tell you what the injury was. And so a player that's a starter doesn't play all year or misses 5 games and no one talks about it. And you're not supposed to talk about it, because if you talk about it or seek the player out on your own, they'll pull your credential. So no, your job is to report. Your job is to tell what's going on. And if they're covering the game, they have to show you, right? They don't have to show it over and over again when this kid in Michigan got hurt. But I really don't like it when they decide it's too gruesome to be seen. Well, I'll decide if it's too gruesome to be seen. They're not our moms. I don't like the big brother attitude that they're going to show us what we can handle. If I don't want to see it, I'll turn away. If they say it's very gruesome, then I'll know in advance maybe I don't want to see it. But the truth is, you got to show it. You have to show it. It's your job. And the option lies with the viewer, with with the precursor of, hey, it's gruesome, but we're going to show it to you. It's your job. Don't determine for me what I can and can't handle. And I'll tell you this much. If I'm in a game like the Michigan-Ohio State game, if I'm a player and it happens to me, I want everyone to see what happened to me. I want everyone to know how much it took to take me out of a game like Ohio State, Michigan. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe it's the old reporter in me. I hate to say that. I was a sports writer more than I was a reporter, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that going forward. Okay, commercial break. My name is Joe Terosian, a sports writer for 21 years, one of the founding members at Mid-Valley Sports. I've written for newspapers, several websites, flirted with a few magazines and such. And now I do RamView, thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law and Temple City Auto Repair. And I'm blessed. And I also write books. And my books can be found on Amazon. I've written 2 high school football novels, and they were well received. You could check them out there. Also, one other book I wrote called The Dark Norm. This had some good reviews as well. It deals with the issue of bullying with just kind of a little Twilight Zone twist, but it was well received as well. Very thin, very, very affordable, quick read, stocking stuffer. But selling books, doing RamView allow me to stay employed doing my day job. I pastor a very small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene, and you can follow us right here on YouTube, our channel called Burbank Faith Virtual, and check us out there, and plus all the other social media spaces. All right. I think I got to our questions. Bill, the Chiefs beating the Packers is the key to the whole Rams seasons. The Chiefs have to beat the Packers, right? They have to beat the Packers. It is. It's just it. When I was laying out the course of the season for the Rams, I had the Rams 3-6 at the break, but I had them winning in Green Bay. I didn't have them winning in Seattle in week 1. And there's so much heartbreak here when you look at this season, and in the sense that they gave so much away. They gave away the Cincy game, right? They had a shot against Frisco in week 2. They could have beaten the Steelers. They could have beaten the Eagles. I mean, there was so much they gave away. And that I think that's what makes it hard when you're a Ram fan. And I'm going to hold back on it because I want to keep this a tight show. I appreciate people watching me live without any kind of announcement on a Saturday. But I despise when people come online and they have a forum, and you're blessed to have a forum, and then they go for the low-hanging fruit. Well, the bill of the Super Bowl and blank them picks came due. And I don't believe that at all. I don't believe the bill ever came due. I believe what happened was a catastrophic, historic set of injuries derailed the whole 2022 season. And then the Rams made a decision after that there was going to be a time they had to cut bait. And following that season and coming into this one, that's when they put everybody in the street and kind of, absolved themselves of all these other contracts to take the hit now. I think if they had gone 10-7, which they very well could have last year, you figure you lost 2 games to Seattle by a combined 7 points. You lost to you lost to New Orleans, and you should have won that game. You lost to Tampa, and you should have won that game. And you lost at home to the Cardinals, and you should have won that game. That's 5 more wins. That makes the Rams 10-7. Then they're in the playoffs. And the Seattle Seahawks finished 9-8. The Rams likely would have been in the wild card round, probably facing San Francisco, and they might have lost that game. But again, that's a culture setter, isn't it? Hey, we still made the playoffs. And instead, the injuries were catastrophic. And honestly, some of the people talking Rams talk, they go for the low-hanging fruit. I don't know what they're thinking. Is that, the bill came due? No, there was catastrophic injuries and things that happened that were beyond belief. And I think that motivated them to make the big move now. But even when they made the big move, this team should still be, 6-5. This team should still be 7-4. They gave away games. And so, yeah, I don't like it when they say the bill come due. Okay. All right. I did the commercial. Good to talk with you. Thank you, Bill, for asking the question. One thing I want to mention real quick here in our area, and I broadcast from San Gabriel Valley in SoCal, and we had a coach that grew up at Rosemead High School, which is just around the corner from us. He won the high school Heisman back in '99 when they were still doing that thing. And he ended up playing college football at Utah, played for Urban Meyer, came back, worked locally as a youth coach, was the DC at his alma mater, became head coach at Temple City High School, which was a legendary program in SoCal back in the 70s and 80s, and then eventually became head coach at Buena Park, rebuilt that program, and was head coach at Santa Ana College. His name's Anthony White. And Anthony White passed away on Friday morning. He had cancer. It was kept on the down low. He was very sick. And we just want to send our best to his family and those who loved him. If there was anybody who loved what he did, it was Anthony White. That guy was nonstop football. And he turned programs around, and he caused young people to believe in themselves, right? And he at 41, he passed away. I think it was a hemorrhage early on Friday morning. So if you can just throw a prayer up for the White family out there in Santa Ana, wherever you may be, we wanted to share that as we really respected Anthony White. Okay, let's press on here. And if you have any questions, again, folks, feel free to shoot me. Shoot them at me. Don't shoot me. Kyrene Williams and Jason Taylor were both activated for this game. So Kyrene Williams will be on the roster. Quentin Lake is out. So the Rams picked up another safety in Jason Taylor. And Zachary Thomas was waived. We remember Zachary Thomas from that evening in Cincy this year. Like we said, hamstring for Quentin Lake, and that stings. That stings a little bit because Quentin Lake's really been progressing nicely, really good in that star position, that slot position on defense. So Kobe Durant practiced full participation. He's expected to play. And those that were either listed as limited or whatever, there was questions about Kupp, Shelton, Laurel Murchison, Havenstein, Nakua, Dotson, Hoyt, and others all practiced in full. The only questionable listed on the Rams report is Ben Skoranek with a hip. So the Rams are healthy. For the Cardinals, Michael Wilson, the Stanford receiver, who's had a good year, he's out. Hollywood Brown at the moment is questionable, but I think he's going to play. Rams lead the series all time against the Cardinals, 49-40-2, 2 playoff wins. And those both games were on home fields for the Rams. The McCutcheon game, 202 yards back in 75. Steve Ramirez remembers that one. And then, of course, the playoff win in 2021 when Kyler Murray decided he didn't want to get hit anymore. Rams are 7-1 against Kyler Murray. Under Sean McVay, the Rams have never lost in Arizona. And the Rams won this year's first meeting in October, 26-9. They kind of fiddled around for a while and then closed the deal. Josh Dobbs was just showing a lot of energy. So you have to respect offensively the 49ers, the Cardinals, if they're running Kyler Murray and James Conner and Hollywood Brown out there. They can sting you, okay? So it's something to think about. However, their offensive line, Paris Johnson, 6th overall pick at right tackle, he's had some struggles. DJ Humphries is not having a great year. He's in his 9th year now. And at left guard, they've been struggling all year. They're starting a young kid from Canada. He's an undrafted free agent named Carter O'Donnell. He's 6'5", 305, but that left guard position has been the abyss for the Cardinals this year. So the Rams have the ability to take advantage with Bobby Brown back. Kobe Turner seems to be playing better every week. Jonah Williams is capable. And, of course, there's this dude named Aaron Donald. So the Rams have an advantage in the trenches defensively. Secondary, Kobe Durant is back. I'm expecting more snaps for John Johnson. I cannot believe that Jason Taylor would see much unless there's an emergency. You're going to see Russ Yeast. You're going to see Jordan Fuller. But Jason Taylor, I imagine if we see him, it's just going to be in special teams. So something to keep an eye on there. Huge opportunity with those struggling tackles for the Cardinals for Byron Donald and Michael Hoyt to pad their stats. Nobody on the Arizona defense is scary. Budda Baker's always solid, and Jalen Thompson is playing well. But they're both playing safety, and it's not enough. B.J. Ojulari, we talked about. He's got 4 sacks in the last 3 weeks. He's starting to warm up. Garrett Williams, who's on a lot of draft boards for the Rams, he's been back since week 7. He's playing well. But again, there's nothing really dangerous on this team. And looking forward, the Rams have always handled Kyler Murray. Always. They've always handled him pretty well. But those defenders are gone. The Leonard Floyds, the Jalen Thompson, Jalen Ramseys, all those guys are kind of gone that kind of handled him. So there could be some bumpy moments. But I think the Rams and the Cardinals have played hard this year for Jonathan Gannon. Give them credit. There's a couple times there you expected them to roll over, and they didn't roll over. So give them credit. But I think offensively, this might get be the game the Rams offense gets on track. Rams 31, Cardinals 21. That's our prediction. Okay, tomorrow's games, Saints, Falcons. Got to think about how you want that one to work out. We play the Saints, so maybe we want the Saints to lose and the Falcons to win. Saints are 5-5. Falcons are 4-6. Somebody from the NFC South, unfortunately, is going to make the playoffs. I think New Orleans is going to win this game. Maybe we want the Falcons to win, but I think New Orleans is going to win this game. Steelers, Bengals. Steelers' first game without Matt Canada, and they're going against a Cincy team without Joe Burrow. Let's give that one to Pittsburgh. Jaguars, Texans, which should be the best game of the day. That's the only game that makes me feel like I wish I had Sunday ticket, and because I'm going to be at church, and I'm going to come back and watch the Ram game, but. I'm going to go with the Jaguars, although I've been really liking the Texans this year. Buccaneers, Colts. Let's root for the Colts. We want the Buccaneers to fall to 4-7. Patriots, Giants. Giants are 3-8. Patriots are 2-8. I'm going with New England in this game. Panthers, Titans. No one cares, but I'm going to go with Tennessee. Browns, Broncos. That should be a really good game. It would be nice if Denver could rough up the Browns a little bit before the Rams get them. Browns are 7-3. They signed Joe Flacco, nervous time at the Forum, right? DTR will be playing quarterback, but the Broncos are on a roll. I'm going with Denver in Mile High. Chiefs, Raiders, I'm going with KC. Bills, Eagles, new OC in Buffalo going against the Eagles. Eagles are a physical team. They just keep finding ways to win. I'm going to go with Philly at home because it's at home. There we go. Ravens, Chargers. It would be really nice if the Chargers can do some damage, some physical assault here on the Ravens. Rough them up a little bit, make them a little banged up when the Rams play them. But I'm going with Lamar Jackson at SoFi against the Chargers. And then Bears, Vikings. Yes, guys, we've been talking about this today. We need the Bears at 3-8. To beat the Vikings at 6-5. From Bill, do you think McVay getting married and having a child affected McVay's coaching sharpness the last 2 years? I don't want to speak to that in the sense that I was in a demanding position as a pastor when my girls were born, and you bear down even harder sometimes. But that all energy, that all in that you have, instead of staying out till 1 a.m. in the office, you're kind of getting home at 10 or 9:30. So where the job consumed him before, it probably doesn't consume him because there's other priorities. I got a wife, I got a child, and that should. I think there's some lingering effect there a little bit, but sometimes it also makes you more balanced too. You're a little more balanced and you're a little more focused. Sometimes you need that outside thing that helps you to focus on your job, right? That this isn't life and death. That's life and death. My kid and my family are life and death. And so I'm not going to panic and make some foolish decisions. But I think it's a good question, and it's something that's always going to come up. Tim Burns. Arizona 21, Rams 31. Did you lift my score? Did you lift my score? Oh, man. Okay, Dan O, do you know if Kobe Durant will play? Right now it's listed. He was a full participant, and he's expected to play. So that's the good news, right? If the news came out that Quentin Lake wasn't going to play, I'm sure we would have heard something about Kobe Durant. They said he was improving from last week, all week, and he practiced and participated in full on Friday. So I think he's back. I hope he's back. We need him. Okay, let's look at this on yesterday. I had some Rams history here, and that was for November 24th. Rams had a receiver named Purvis Atkins, and yesterday was his birthday. He passed away in 1997. I think it was 1997, but he was drafted by the Rams, 3rd round, 30th overall in 1960. You ever see the movie Longest Yard, the original, the legitimate one? Purvis Atkins was number 17 that played on Burt Reynolds' Mean Machine team. He had 3 seasons with the Rams, caught 54 passes, 2 touchdowns, 35 catches. He was 6'1", 230, and was an All-American at New Mexico State. You just couldn't figure out what to do with him. And the Rams, here's the interesting thing. They used the 3rd round pick to acquire Atkins. They got that in a trade in September of 1958. If you're a longtime football fan, you might know the names of these Baltimore greats, Billy Ray Smith and Jimmy Orr. The Rams had them. The Rams drafted both of those guys, and they traded Billy Ray Smith and Jimmy Orr to the Steelers in 58 for 2 3rd-round picks, one in 59 and one in 60, and one of them was Purvis Atkins. Atkins played with the Rams for 3 seasons and then moved on. His career never really panned out, but he played wide receiver, running back, tight end, but 6'1", 230 with good speed. He was a guy that I don't think people knew how to work with in those days, but they probably would now. But if you check out the Longest Yard, Purvis Atkins is number 17. He would be what? He would be 88 today if he was still with us. Okay. On this day in on this day, November 25th, Eddie McMillan was born, former Ram cornerback out of Florida State. He was born in 1951 and 1956. Doug Smith, all-pro safety, was born. Rams got him out of Bowling Green. And former Rams safety out of Oregon, Anthony Newman. And then on this day in 1971, I remember this because I remember my brother and a friend in our street screaming about it. Rams lost a Thanksgiving Day game in Dallas to the Cowboys, 28-21, and Tommy Prothro punted twice on 3rd down. And I don't know the dynamics of it and the stats of it, but I remember my brother and our friend Gilbert going street rat crazy about it, them doing it. And I didn't pick up the Rams until midway through the 72 season, but I thought that was interesting to share. And then on Sunday being November 26th, in Rams history, the Rams waived Billy Waddy and Cullen Bryant. Just wanted to get that out there. Man, I cannot believe I got a crowd on Saturday afternoon. Thank you guys so much for clicking on. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them at me, and I'd be happy to.
It was a stone groove, my man.
It was a stone groove. Favorite part of RamView, it's amazing how you weave the draft picks and trades all the way till the end. Fascinating. You know, Tim Burns, thank you so much. Someone appreciates that. That is one of my favorite things. Yeah, that's one of the nerd in me. I want to see who led to who, right? I want to see who led to who. There's one thread I didn't get into, and I don't know where I put it. I was kind of holding back on it a little bit. I don't know if I should share it, but maybe I should. But the Rams signed a cornerback free agent named Lee Calland, and he was traded in a deal to bring Richie Pettibone to the Rams. And then Richie Pettibone was traded to the Redskins, and it was a crazy deal. But I'll break it down maybe on Monday and stuff. Or I could just break it down now if you guys are still here, if you want to see it or hear about it. Okay, so what happened was in 1968, the Rams signed a free agent defensive back named Lee Callan. He never played for the Rams. And then he's tossed into the deal to acquire all-pro safety Richie Pettibone from the Bears in May of 1969. Pettibone plays on those George Allen teams in 69 and 70. That was the 11-3 team, the 9-4-1 team. And he has 26 starts, plays strong safety alongside Eddie Metter, picks off 6 passes. But then, of course, when George Allen goes to the Skins, he wants all of his Ram-Skins to come with him. And in a separate deal than some of the bigger ones they made, he's dealt to Washington. Pettibone is dealt to Washington for 2 picks, for a 1973 second-round pick and a 6th-round pick. But here's the funny story about that is the second-round pick is upgraded to a first-rounder when it's discovered that the Redskins had previously traded their second-round pick. But here's the thing. So the Rams get this extra first-round pick, but they sign a receiver. And remember, free agency was weird. There was technically free agency, but the NFL punished you if you signed anybody as a free agent. It would cost you like a number 1 pick. Well, in 72, the Rams signed Bears receiver Dick Gordon. Dick Gordon, a couple of years before, had a 70-catch season, and he was lightning fast, right? And so the Rams signed him, and guess what? The NFL took away that first-round pick that the Rams got from the Redskins and gave it to the Bears. And Gordon only appeared in 9 games for the Rams. They were looking for a deep threat. They had Renzel, they had Snow, and that eventually leads to the deal when Gabriel was sent to the Eagles to acquire Harold Jackson. They wanted that deep threat. Dick Gordon appears in 9 games, catches 3 passes for the Rams, scores 1 touchdown. The 6th-round pick becomes a linebacker named Jim Peterson out of San Diego State. He spends 2 years playing special teams for the Rams. He scores a touchdown on a 67-yard fumble recovery against the Saints. I remember that game. I was watching it. In 1976, he's traded to the Buccaneers for 2 draft picks, one of which turns into special teams performer Dwight Scales. There we go. I wasn't going to share it. I was going to save it, but you dragged it out of me, Tim Burns, because you guys clicked on. Thank you. There we go. I think I've pushed my limit. I probably drove away some listeners with that one. Guys, thank you for your comments. Thank you for participating. Please drop me a line, send questions, hit like. If you have friends, have them subscribe, hit the share button, share the links or whatever, and we'll go from there. So I will see you on Monday, normal schedule again, since we're out of the holiday, and we'll go from there. I think it should be a good day to come back and talk Ram football. Dan O, real quick, are you following O-line or quarterback college prospects? I really like Cooper Beebe, guard from Kansas State, and quarterback Bo Nix from Oregon. You know what? I have not followed Cooper Beebe, but I will look at him now, Dano. I promise you that. And I do like Bo Nix. I kind of like Bo Nix better than Michael Penix. And I like Bo Nix better than a lot of these guys. I do. He's got all this experience. He had maybe something mature happen. Something happened. He got out of Auburn, got out of the South, went to Oregon. He's a different cat at Oregon. I like J.J. McCarthy. I'm not crazy about Jaden Daniels. Everyone's building up Jaden Daniels, and I'm not crazy about Jaden Daniels, but I really like Bo Nix. I'm not crazy about Drake May, but if I had a second quarterback, if I couldn't draft Caleb Williams, I would take Bo Nix. Yeah, definitely. Cooper Beebe, I'll look at it. I'll see. I don't know if the Rams would go first round with a guard, but you get in those second and third rounds, and that's an interesting thing because there's talk about Avila can move to center, so the left guard spot opens up again, and no one knows what's going to happen with Kevin Dotson because he's going to be a free agent, and he's definitely going to get an offer of more than 10 rocks. We lost Austin Corbett because he was offered 8 rocks a season. That's $8 million a year for 3 years in Carolina, and I don't think Austin Corbett was that great. A lot of the PFF scores on Kevin Dotson have been fantastic, and I think Kevin Dotson's good, but is he 10 rocks, 12 rocks, 13 rocks? You got to think about what you pay a guard because they're not tackles. Tackles are premium. Guards are important. Guards are critical. but people don't spend that much money on guards. It'll be interesting to see if the Rams draft or sign him. And then, of course, I'll keep an eye on this Cooper Beebe. Yeah, I definitely will. Look that up, and I'll bring it up on the next show, Dano, when I come back on Monday. All right, cool. Thank you so much. Fun time talking. I am going to go check out the Apple Cup. God bless. Take care. Go Rams.